It's not really about just focusing on the next step. Just make sure you take the learning lessons along the way. And you really understand that you have to consistently do that, especially if you want to move on to bigger things, because it's just steps. All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about starting as a real estate investor and trying to scale up your portfolio and what things you should kind of consider when doing that. If you're looking at starting off, right, like from the very beginning, just understand that you shouldn't be focused on just scaling right from the beginning. You should obviously have an idea of the things that are required, but my point in saying that is like, I'm not saying don't scale or don't try to like go with the hopes that you'll be, getting into multiple properties over the next little while, but don't just focus on, okay, I want to scale and then not actually take in the things that you're supposed to do to get there, right? Because the whole idea is like you're supposed to build up your experience, because experience makes you more efficient, right? So as you learn the different processes in real estate, like for me, for example, I didn't understand construction at all, kind of understood financing, didn't really understand the full process of doing like a buy, renovate, refinance, and I had to really get in on the ground level and see what it looks like, get experience dealing with the different professionals across the different steps that you take, like when financing, dealing with brokers, banks, dealing with contractors, most importantly, and even evaluating deals, the most important thing, because you got to find good deals. So I'm an agent and I had to learn how to do that, and I like underwritten so many deals, just trying to like run numbers, go look at properties. I've walked through like, I don't know, hundreds, I don't know, maybe 1,000 plus like properties at least in the last 2-3 years. So I would say like understanding all these things and really like being consistent with your learning, it's going to make you more efficient, right? So when you take on like your first project, really taking the time to understand the different options you have, like for financing, for example, dealing with contractors, picking their brain, doing all these things. And then, really understanding that stuff, taking it in, and then like you'll be able to take that, and the next time you'll improve, and then you'll improve, and then you'll improve. So I've done that a couple times with a couple properties now. So I understand, for example, just smaller multifamily really well. Like I understand the construction layouts, what to look for in a property. I understand numbers really well, and that's also because I'm an agent. I do it so much that I can run numbers on a deal in like 5 minutes or less, no problem. Unless it's a lot bigger of a deal or there's complexities, but anything like, probably even up to 8 units, I can understand, I can run the numbers. And even renovations, because I've talked to so many contractors now, and I feel like I could have done more. I shouldn't talk to more people. I should have, looked at material costs more, because there's still some weak spots I have there. But obviously, learning is cool too, but then taking action is as well. So when I was doing a lot of these projects on my own properties, I would talk to the contractors and ask them about different costs, even if they didn't really necessarily apply to me per se, but I would ask. I wouldn't be annoying, but I would always try to pop in and ask questions. And even regarding the projects, I would ask them about the different stages we were at. I'd ask plumbers questions, electricians, and it really like kind of built up my knowledge, and seeing it in real life and taking action took it a step further. But I wish I could do even more. And I do that a lot of times, even with like clients, or even when I'm getting quotes, or doing walkthroughs with clients. Like I meet different contractors. The repetitions, they really perfect your knowledge, and they really help you, because the deeper you go, the more clear everything is. And then the next time, you won't be second guessing yourself. You'll be able to do it fairly quickly. So I would say, like, when you're starting off, just understand that the more you do that, and you do that consistently, until you have to take on the next big thing, you need a different type of project, different scope of project, different level. And then you have to get better at learning that bigger thing, right? And then you improve your skill, your knowledge at that bigger thing. So if you're doing small multifamily, then you move to bigger. I haven't done that yet, right? Like the bigger stuff. Long term, my goal was always to get into development and building. I've learned a lot along the way. I've learned so much about zoning and building and development, and that's what I mean. Like, sometimes I even question getting into it because I know it's a very long game, and that's not what I'm worried about, because it requires a lot of capital, a lot of partnerships, and a lot of risk taking. But it's just like, there's so much uncertainty. It's such a gray area. But if I really do want to even kind of get into it, I really have to understand the various processes of, zoning, construction, dealing with cities. And thankfully, due to being able to do like my own projects and consulting people, other professionals in the industry, working alongside them, I've been able to really understand that stuff well, right? So it's just, it takes time, but eventually you have to take action like anything else. So that's kind of where I'm at, but that's why I kind of wanted to share that, because I feel like it's a consistent, like, it's like, in school they tell you you're never gonna really stop learning, like you have to, right? Like, even if you don't want to, because the day, like, you say, like, okay, I know enough, I can, like, do what I need to do, and you kick back, that's like the day you take a loss if you have big goals. If you have like smaller goals and like, you're more passive, then it's a different story. But like, for me at least, that's the thing. Like, I don't have to keep trying to improve, right? And some people won't understand that because they're like, oh, well, you might be doing this much more than most people your age, but it's like, that's not really how I measure success, and it's not really about money or anything like that. It's just about learning and getting to the next step sometimes. But then again, that's what this video is about. It's not really about just focusing on the next step. Just make sure you take the learning lessons along the way, and you really understand that you have to consistently do that, especially if you want to move on to bigger things, because it's just steps, right? And sometimes you have to take steps back too. That's the thing that people don't like to talk about, right? Like, people will say, oh, you have to get all your capital out in like X amount of months, or you should never sell a property, you should never do this, you have to do what applies to your unique situation, right? And the reality of the matter is like, understand we're in a different market now, and it might be better for you actually if you're starting now, because you're in a more realistic market than people have been for the last 10 years, right? So you have to like really look into things, but obviously consult people. That's another thing too. Like, coaching is not all bad. There is a lot of marketing and a lot of stuff. I don't even want to get into that right now, but that happens in the space. But you should learn from people. You should at least deal with professionals if you're paying them that are good at what they do, like agents, brokers, mortgage brokers, contractors, accountants, right? Because at least you're paying them to understand things, and then surround yourself, if you can, with other people too that are doing these things, because that'll really pay off, right? Like, those relationships can really help you understand things, get a different perspective, and help you scale up too, because you don't want to just be patting yourself on the back all the time, because you're not really going to get anywhere doing that. And at a bigger level with scale, you need partners. So just understand that. So you have to move according to that kind of route, like, just build up your relationships, be social. I don't think you're too good for other people or conversations, right? So yeah, just make sure you're always kind of like, you start off, you understand that it's a process, there's steps, and then like, get connected with people, deal with professionals, and take in everything you can, and then apply it and do repetitions, right? And then until you can move on to the next thing, and then with that next thing, you have to keep doing the same thing. You're not just going to go from like, it's not exponential. Growth is exponential, but I've learned that it becomes exponential because you perfect the things that you're doing at that time so well that you can do them with your eyes closed. And then, so like, if you're doing one type of deal, let's say, you get so good at it that you could do 10 of them at the same time, that kind of thing. And then if you move on to something new that you don't understand, you're gonna have to learn again, but you're gonna learn how to manage that process better from the previous thing you did, right? You're gonna learn how to manage teams, you're gonna learn how to deal with people, you're gonna have contacts. So that's how it works, and then it keeps going. That's what I'm trying to do as well, right? So yeah, I would say just focus on that. And I think from the people I've spoken to, people I've talked to that are doing bigger things than I am, that's what used to be working.